Hello and welcome to this episode of the Diary. And today I want to cover an issue regarding the new proposed legislation or regulation um, with banks in relation to the recent closure of a bank account of what is described as a PEP, i.e., politically exposed person. So, under the Treasury proposals, lenders will have to explain why they shut accounts and give 90 days notice. And this is in relation to after an apology by NatWest over the closure of that individual's account and who banks with codes which is publicly acknowledged as the late Queen's Bank, as so it's claimed. Now, following the fury over the closure of the account at the exclusive private bank codes, the government has introduced new rules intended to clamp down on what it calls unfair bank account closures. Alison Rose, the chief executive of the bank's parent company, NatWest Group, has apologized for mishandling the case, though in a letter to Farage, she stopped short of reinstating him as a court's customer. So, what rights do people have to a bank account in the UK? Now, everyone in the UK has a legal right to hold a basic bank account, offering the ability to receive and make payments. Those rules, which came into force under the 2015 Payments Accounts Regulations, introduced in European legislation before Brexit, gave people in the UK and other member states a right to have a basic bank account with protection against discrimination. So the legislation states that a credit institution must not discriminate against customers legally resident in the European Union by reason of their nationality or place of residence or by reason of any other ground referred to in Article 21 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union when those consumers apply for or access a payment account. And the Rights Charter says that any discrimination based on any ground such as sex, race, color, ethnic, or social origin, or any other protected act, or any other opinion membership is prohibited. And so, what rights were infringed in relation to the named individual? Now, everyone, again, is entitled to obtain a standard bank account, but UK banks, like most businesses, are free to deny additional services to customers for a number of reasons, from threats of violence towards bank staff to suspicions of financial crime. Lenders can also choose to close or refuse an account if they believe a customer poses a risk to their reputation. This was one of the key reasons courts cited when deciding to shut the former leader's account, according to internal documents obtained and released by him Wednesday. Now, banks cannot tell customers if their account is being closed owing to suspicion of financial crime, but voluntary guidelines laid out by the Banking Lobby Group in the UK 2019 say banks that close accounts for other reasons should try to explain their decision to customers in a sensitive way that's easy to understand, as long as it's feasible and permissible to do so. Now, how do banks monitor the client's opinions? Banks have a legal obligation to monitor their client's account and to make risk assessments based on the information they have gathered. Politically exposed persons, PEPs, individuals who, because of their roles as public officials, are deemed to carry higher risk of bribery or corruption, or require additional supervision. Banks can also monitor any negative media coverage of their customers as well as social media accounts and credit data. But this is usually meant to identify people who could potentially do a criminal act. Now, court's internal reports say the bank was concerned about Varage's quote-unquote xenophobic, chauvinistic, and racist views and believed maintaining his accounts posed a reputational risk. The report highlighted his ties to politicians such as the former US president and his vision issues including migration in Russia, and it said some of his comments were not in line with their views or purpose, quote-unquote. The government has said the new rules will prevent banks from making this assessment to protect freedom of expression. And how is that going to be changed? The changes under the Financial Conduct Authority have been given around 3 months from the end of June to begin a review of the rules governing those considered to be politically exposed persons, like the named individual in this case. And behind the call for reform from ministers is the need to break away from rules they see as overly stringent, which Brussels is also reviewing at the moment. Under the current regime, the authorities must consider the risks of foreign and domestic politically exposed persons in the same way. And now, international rules established by the Financial Action Task Force allow for a light touch on domestic individuals. The FCA has yet to begin a review. It can take up to 12 months before making its recommendation for reform. Now, in conclusion, what will the change look like and what will that involve? The banks will be required to give customers 90 days notice from 30 days before closing their account or downgrading their services. The banks will also be given a new duty to spell out why they're terminating a bank account, boosting transparency for customers and aiding their efforts to overturn decisions. However, according to the Guardian report, the Treasury rules may clash with cases where customers are accused of committing an unlawful act or a criminal act. The National Crime Agency could lobby against the change if it believes that telling bank customers why they've lost their account and then giving them a long period to appeal has the effect of undermining criminal investigation. And so, there is it in a nutshell. And there we shall leave it on this episode of The Diary of a Lawyer. Thank you for listening. We shall speak again. Thank you. Bye.